Okay, we're up to episode 5, building the bike up to go to Baja. And today I'm going to talk about the ergonomic upgrades and comfort upgrades that I've made, and just kind of some things that I wanted to do to the bike. So if you have an F800 or an F700, these might be some things that you're interested in doing. So one of the things that I did is I added a taller windscreen, and I'll go through some of the details on the taller windscreen. It didn't work out exactly how I wanted. I had to trim it down, and I'll show you why. The other things I've done is I changed out the headlight. I put an LED headlight. It was a full package that I'll go through as well and show you the difference between the original headlight and then the new LED headlight. One of the things I like about the new LED headlight is it has a similar look to the big 1200GS's, and since I have the big 1200GS, I like that light. I like how much light it puts out. I prefer LED. That was a nice easy upgrade. It took 10 minutes to install. On bigger foot pegs, and I'll look at that. I went with the Moose Racing foot peg. It was fairly inexpensive. It was $100, and I'll show you the difference between the Moose foot peg and the standard foot peg, which is quite significant. I changed gearing on the bike. It might seem a little strange the way I did it. I looked at the gearing and the way this bike handles. One of the things about this bike that I have found since I bought it is that the throttle feels very digital to me, meaning I feel like the throttle is either on or off. And off-road, I didn't really like that. First gear felt very jerky, and I was looking at ways of kind of smoothing it out and using a little bit more of the power. And then when I get on the throttle, it has to get some RPMs up before it jumps. And then I also found that I was riding somewhere between second and third gear, literally shifting between second and third gear all the time on stuff that's a little bit smoother, or I wanted to go a little bit faster. I didn't like that either, so I wasn't really pleased with the gearing. So the way the bike is, it's 1642, so 16 teeth on the front sprocket, 42 in the rear. And when I started looking at gearing ratios, instead of going with a smaller sprocket in the rear, I decided to go with a bigger in the front. I wanted taller gears. I want more range to first gear, and then when I get to second, I've got more range on second gear before I need to go into third. And that's what I chose to do, is to go taller. So I put a 17 tooth front sprocket on, and I like what that's done. It's given me more range on first gear. I don't need a lot of low end. This bike has plenty of torque and plenty of power to get out of a lot of different things. I'm not doing any crazy extreme riding, just the forest roads that I ride on. I prefer where this has put me. It's made second gear taller, so I'm not shifting between second and third gear all the time. I'm using second gear much more, and if I get into third gear, then I'm really hauling down the roads. And so I like what that's done. I feel like it's helped smooth the throttle out a bit so that it's not quite as digital, although it's very digital on this bike compared to my R1200GS that's all electronic and throttle by wire. That's much smoother, and of course there's other features that come with it. But for this bike, it's helped with the throttle response. It's smoothed it out some. Let's see, I put a tail rack on, and I got that off of Amazon from AVT, I don't know, Technologies AVT Incorporated, and it was $100 for the tail rack. It was a little bit cheaper than some of the others. It's made in the US, and it had everything I needed it to, a mount for the roto packs and plenty of slots for running straps and stuff through. It made sense to me. I actually took and lowered the rack as well, because I wanted it to have a lower profile, and I found some spacers to do that. And I'll take the roto packs off and show you how it's a little bit lower. I've got the luggage rack on. I was able to get a blem rack from Revzilla at a discount. It wasn't a huge discount, but it was enough of a discount that made it worth it. It's the Outback luggage rack. I'm not planning to put hard luggage on here. I'm going to put soft, but I needed something to mount the soft luggage to. I like the Givi tank lock system, so I converted this little Chase Harper bag to fit on the Givi tank lock. I had a previous tank bag that died. The zipper was coming out of it. It was too expensive to fix. So I like this. I can take it off really easily. I made a video on how to convert bags over to Givi tank lock, and you can take a look at that, and it'll show you why I like this. Alright, and the other thing that I did, and I'll get a good close-up of this, is I added a hockey puck to my single kickstand, because I felt like the bike, when you leaned it over onto the kickstand, I felt like I was almost setting it on the ground. I didn't like how short the kickstand was. So I had the foot enlarger. I just bought a hockey puck, drilled some holes through it and put it in, and it's not necessarily as elegant as it could be, but it does the job. It lifts the bike up about an inch, between 3/4 7/8 of an inch, and that way I don't feel like I'm setting the bike down quite as far. It's not leaned over as much, so I like that. I feel more confident getting off of the bike and setting it down, and depending on what the conditions are, I haven't had any issues with it being a longer kickstand. Yeah, with the windscreen, I also added the windscreen brace. And the reason I put the brace on is when I had the longer windscreen before cutting it down, it was flopping back and forth and added additional buffeting to my helmet. What I don't like about the windscreen right now is that the wind comes right and hits me right about in the mid visor. So I'll probably put a windscreen extension on when I'm doing a lot of road miles, and then when I get off road, I'll just take that off, throw it in my bag, and then I don't have to worry about smashing my face on it if I get thrown over the front, anything like that. But I can reduce the wind to keep the fatigue down when I'm doing lots of road miles. As I did add an aftermarket seat. The seat that came on this bike had some added foam to it. I think they just took the cover off, added some foam, smoothed it out. I didn't like it. I didn't like how it felt. It made the bike quite a bit taller, and it wasn't comfortable. It was too soft. So I found a seat on eBay that was a seat concept seat with a full seat tray, foam and seat cover for a decent price. But what I didn't realize when I had purchased it, it was actually for the GS Adventure, not the standard GS, and whoever was selling it probably didn't know the difference, so it didn't fit quite right. So I just took the foam off of the other seat tray, put it on the seat tray that I had, and now I have a much more comfortable seat. I had to do a few modifications because the foam wasn't quite the same, but I will say the seat concept seat, the foam, is really nice because it's firm. Your sit bones, the bones in your butt, stay elevated because of the firmness of the seat, and so you don't have all of the seat pushing on all of your soft tissue. So a little bit of riding that I've done, I definitely prefer this seat over the one that I have on my big bike, and now I'm actually looking to replace the seat on the big bike because this seat is so dang comfortable. Unfortunately, the seat has kept the height pretty tall. With my big boots on, I'm still on my toes. I can't flat foot it with both feet. I was hoping to lower the seat a little bit so that I could get a foot down a little bit easier if I get into some crummy or crappy or difficult terrain, but that wasn't the case. But I think for a lot of miles this will be really comfortable. One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Alt-Rider rear brake enlarger and extension. I found on this bike, same as my other bike, when I'm standing up and I want to apply the rear brake, I feel like I'm driving that rear brake into the ground. I know it's set up more for when you're sitting and your foot position is sitting, but I need something for when I'm standing up. Just even riding some dirt roads coming down here, it is really noticeable how far I have to push my foot down to get that brake to engage. So I'm going to do that. That'll be something that comes up. I just didn't have time to get that done before I put this video together. And I think that's pretty much it. In upcoming episodes, I'll talk about suspension. I've changed the springs out. I'm also going to talk about tires and going tubeless and what my experience has been doing that. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful, and I will see you out there.